sharing that you've gone, you've been part of the programs.
And you know, Catherine and Jeremy went down.
Oh.
I'm so excited for this year, and now we're going to send 4 instead of 3.
All right, we will wait until all are seated or standing. We'll go ahead and call to order the April 6th Commission for the Arts meeting at 5:01, and we'll do the roll call.
Hello, Chris Cote is here. I usually go ladies first, but I'll go first.
Jamie, the secretary.
Let the record show there are 6 commissioners present, with Commissioner Campbell absent.
Thank you. And we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Are there any special presentations?
There are none.
And number 5, any oral communications?
There are no speakers for oral communications tonight.
Thank you. And I believe there are no changes to the agenda.
There are no changes to the posted agenda.
Great. So moving on to action number 7, approval of the minutes. I did actually have one change or correction to make, which is in 8C 3.2. We were speaking about the workshop. It says that I suggested that we hold a second workshop, and actually what we were talking about was not holding a second workshop. And 8C 3.2. Does anyone else have anything to say about the minutes of last meeting? Nope. Okay. So is there a motion to approve the March 2nd, 2026 minutes?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Great. So if you go to on the floor for the new commissioners at the computer, it will come up and you vote. Who's that?
Commissioner Goodman. Let the record show that the motion to approve the March 2nd, 2026 minutes passes, with 6 commissioners voting yes, except Commissioner Campbell, who's absent, and with a correction to 8C32. There will be a correction there.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll move on to action items. And the first, which is the Commission for the Arts 2026-27 proposed meeting dates. Were you all able to review those, and can we all make them? Yep. All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the meeting dates.
I'll second. That's yours. Not yours? No, that's just a spare. Oh.
This is an extra screen to look at.
Let the record show the motion to approve the 2026-2027 proposed meeting dates passes, with all commissioners voting yes, except Commissioner Campbell, who is absent.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to action item 8B, our work plan and different actions. And before we continue, I'd just like to note that all the attachments, except the meeting dates and the work plan outcomes, were added by staff to our agenda just this morning. So it just left limited time for commissioners to review and prepare for tonight's discussion. That said, I appreciate that the materials were included and now can support discussion and hopefully action tonight. So we'll move on to discuss the draft of our work plan. Vice Chair Romer and myself put a draft together. And does everyone have that up on their screen? Do you think we can put that up on the big screen as well? Oh. Great.
Oh, where is that?
You know what? When we
Which?
Are we looking at outcomes or the new
we're
plan?
not, we're doing outcomes last. The new one, I also just opened it on my computer, but I only see the one, right? Is that what you're finding too,
Oh,
Robin?
there's 2 documents in the pop-up. So it's this second document,
Gotcha, thank you.
26, 27.
Okay. So every year, the chair and vice chair come up with a draft of the work plan for the year ahead. And, the work plan helps shape our year and our efforts. And it doesn't have to include every detail that we're going to work on, of course. At any point, commissioners can add agenda items or share reports, and that can lead to a workshop. It can lead to a recommendation. So just please keep that in mind, that as we discuss what to put on here and also what not to put on here for the following year.
I'm having trouble finding it.
Sure. When you go into the agenda, the work plan item, you hit the documents and then you highlight it.
8A or 8B1?
8B1,
8B1?
and then it comes up with 2, and it's the second one in the box.
Oh, thank you.
I made the same mistake.
That is very clever, cleverly. All right, thank you.
All right. So, yeah, in drafting this, we wanted to identify priorities. We wanted to make it concise, a little bit clearer and easier, and as much as possible reflect shared goals and attainable goals, shared by all of us, shared with the city goals, and also what we've heard from the public in the past year. So when thinking about the priorities, we asked ourselves, like, one year from now, what would be like the big steps forward that this commission can help shape? And also what groundwork should be laid this year to support work for the following years for the city. Just please keep that in mind as we look through. The first one is the same that's always been on there, a liaison to the Cultural Tourism Committee. If anyone has any questions or wants to discuss them in detail, we can.
What is the Cultural Tourism Committee, and when does it meet, and how often does it meet?
Great. So it's a city meeting. 2 council members run it, and different business owners and people in the city who work in the city come to it. It's a meeting table, basically a round table for people to give reports about what's going on. It meets generally the first Thursday of every month at 9 a.m. and is an hour long. It's a pretty nice, concise meeting. And in the past, one commissioner and an alternate has been designated, and then we just share what's going on here and bring it back to the commission as well. And that's what it's about. The number 2 is the cultural loop development. So the city has, in the Cultural Tourism Committee, I think the city has decided that they will form a subcommittee to support the planning and development of an Encinitas cultural loop. So I think we just want to participate in that. And then we added this advising on arts management. We're open to that, open to the language changing. One big priority for the year is Pacific View Art Center and making, helping it to succeed. So a lot of these reflect that goal. This Pacific View Art Center proposal is basically just rewriting the city direction from our last work plan to be working on Pacific View in a way that better describes how council actually directed us during the last joint meeting. So we will actually present next month the proposal that we have been outlining for a vision and framework for Pacific View. And then we put this on here so that we could maintain that ongoing engagement and just monitor progress, provide input, and recommend adjustments as implementation evolves. Number 4 is a % for the arts program research. And again, open to changing that to be a little bit more broad. There are lots of city models out there that that can be used to fund public art. But that is one that's come out of the work from the public art goals and policies that we've been doing. And Oceanside is looking into it right now. A lot of cities up and down the coast have used it. It's just a way of providing a source of funding that comes basically through CIP projects. And that there's an attachment, there's a % for the art brief attachment. It's was listed on our agenda tonight. Did anyone have a chance to read that brief? Anyway, it's there. That's fine. It isn't honest. It's not a teacher asking if you've done your homework. I wrote that up so that to give some history and background and some reason why we would want to do that research. Today, I don't know if it's the right step forward for Encinitas, but I think it's worth it to check it out, to actually understand, okay, if we had this in place in the last 5 years, look at some numbers, what would we have today? So that's why we put it on there. Then where are we? Number 5 is public art policy update recommendations. And the idea behind this, again, came out of this work looking at the Encinitas general plan and the goals and policies for that we've come up with to recommend. And also working over the years with our public art policy, which is like a 3-pager, I think, that was sent to you all by Dave. Thank you for that. Basically, like, rather than have multiple ad hocs working in the weeds on rubrics and ways forward and all of this sort of stuff, really feel like it's time for the city to dive into policy around public art and clarify what are the best practices. So it's not a rewriting of the wheel, but it is a huge, it's a profession. I've been talking to a consultant, which this is what she's done for 30 years. And it's really good to know what are the best practices for the specifics of this city and this place. It's kind of that idea that, when I first came on the commission, I kept hearing this phrase that was tossing around, the city is growing up. And I don't know if that's a good or bad phrase, but it's basically getting its ducks in a row. And I think that this work plan item is about the cultural art department's kind of maturation in respect to policy, and also our own maturation as a commission, so that we know what tools we have available and what they look like. So that's that one. And that's also why there aren't, we didn't put a mural program as a work plan item. I mean, that something like that would be covered in a public art policy. Number 6 is marketing strategies for cultural arts programming with a strong emphasis on the Pacific View Art Center. And that's, I think, kind of speaks for itself. Number 7 is sculpture loan program. So the program that we helped to revamp will be actually put into play this year. So I think this one. Oh, did I skip one? Oh, yes, I did. Thank you so much. So we're now into public art. Number 6 is the visual art selection panel. This is something that happens every year. They're really amazing program that the city puts on, and so many artists were lucky participate in. So that is just a standard that the commission sits on. Two commissioners generally, or 3 commissioners sit on the panel and also help spread the word. So number 7 is, and anyone jump in here if they have questions or any clarifying questions. Sculpture loan program, that's what I was saying. We just wanted to be able to support the implementation of that program moving forward. The interface with the public with that one is really important so that the intent of those changes of the program that we made really come about. Number 8 is wayfinding strategies for Pacific View. And this is just, I think, a really important part of making Pacific View successful. I know that Commissioner Campbell is very important to her to continue the research on the asphalt art programs. And I would say that the asphalt art would be part of wayfinding strategies. You can use it on the sidewalks, you can use it in the outdoor area. So I just wanted to call that out in case she's listening. I hope she's feeling better tonight. Number 9 is the mural proposal for the Pood Skate Park that we will be discussing later tonight. So that's a project that doesn't just happen, that we make a recommendation, but I think we'd stay involved with it happening. Number 10 is performing arts. Underperforming arts, performing arts research. And this is commissioners will research and deliver a report with a recommendation on near and long-term approaches to bringing performing arts to Encinitas, including but not limited to theater and dance companies willing and able to perform in unconventional spaces with relevant programming comparisons, public input, and costs. I wanted to leave that one quite broad because I know that, well, Jennifer, I know you have so much interest in so many different performing arts models of programs, but I also know that theater has come up a lot, and so we talked about how do we have something on there that can hold quite a bit. And then City Council, number 12 and 13 are just always on the work plan as far as work plan outcomes and proposing, the following commission work plan. Another change is just in the format. We went with project instead of goal because it just clarified a lot of times the goals and the intended outcomes were just saying the same thing in 2 different columns. So if you go to the very top and it's just that gray row, we have project, members involved, goals, and status tracking so that we can continue to update that throughout the year. The City Council focus areas and goals, we just really wanted to make sure that we're in alignment with what the city puts forth and everyone's decided on. Those numbers, please pipe in if you think those are accurate. I think I did that really fairly quickly, but the city focus areas and goals are up top. Those are from last year. They haven't been finalized from this year, but I heard that they were pretty close, so I just put that up there basically as a placeholder. And then the timeline. Timeline, too, I wasn't quite sure about. I mean, with some things, you can see that there's some specifics, but if anyone wants to suggest something more specific, go for it. And that's what we did. So I think first, any questions about this, what's in front of you, and then we can open it up to see, what's missing, what have we left out, anything like that.
Just one question about number 8. Is it possible that could fall under marketing for Pacific View, the wayfinding?
I think it's 2 different things. The wayfinding is really like these visible cues, and certainly some of the wayfinding might utilize a marketing strategy, but I think marketing is more about those big picture ideas of like,
So you feel
Yeah.
like it's its own separate ad hoc rather than to be combined?
I'm thinking. I think more would get done if it's possible to separate them, as long as, there's not an overlap with Brown Act stuff. Because
I could see-
wayfinding is like, okay, if someone wants to work on how do we illuminate the fact that Pacific View exists there from moonlight, from the 101, do we, how do you involve all of the businesses, all of that sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
It's beyond signage, which is actually just working with the Department of Public Works. Doesn't even necessarily need to go through City Council.
Okay.
I don't know, but what does everyone else think?
I was just concerned that maybe if you couldn't talk about the marketing branding aspect of, that maybe that would cause an issue, but.
Maybe it could be spaced out so that marketing ad hoc takes the lead, and then at a meeting is like, okay, this is what we're thinking about, and then the wayfinding ad hoc can take that, what's been shared publicly, and run with it. And then at the next meeting a month later, if anything new has come up from marketing, I'm just talking off the top of my head, so.
I think that could work. I was just trying to make sure that we weren't accidentally siloing, like two groups that actually need to work together.
No, it's a great point. Chris, you have more experience with marketing. Do you have anything to add?
In the capacity of getting the word out for Pacific View Arts Center and driving traffic and eyeballs to all the programs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, I don't want to sound biased, but like Encinitas magazine is also obviously a great avenue for this. Social media, print, which is happening now via advertising.
Mm-hmm.
I think the staff at Encinitas magazine could do better with getting materials from actual programs, from actual things happening at Pacific View, showcasing those more on social media rather than just in print. So that's something that I could put into practice, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think and that's great to hear. I guess my question is also more rooted in that sense of the difference between a group of commissioners that would work to help inform the marketing for Pacific View or support, hold on one sec, and a group that would be devoted to helping to make recommendations about wayfinding and about putting visual cues into the city. Dave, you have a perplexed look.
I think I'm about to say the same thing you just said. In that it sounds like the question is this two separate, and it sounds like you're asking, is this two separate things or one thing? So we're going to, one piece is wayfinding, so signage, very creative ways to get people to the center, know where it is, methods. And then there was a discussion about the marketing goal. And so do you see that as a group, as two different groups of three working on two different things? Or is that, am I on the path of what you were saying? I think I was hearing the same thing.
Yeah, that's what that's the question that Robin brought up, and I think it's worth considering. And so that was my question to Chris, is just, I'm just curious about your input on that.
Honestly, I just figured out what wayfinding means, signage. It is two very different things. Social media and print advertising as opposed to signage on the streets. Picturing it in my head, I see these cool, bright, colorful arrows and signs trying to get people to take the few extra steps off Highway 101. So I don't think it would be, I don't think it would be a bad thing to have two separate ad hocs, but could it fall into the same thing? Yeah. It's, I guess that's up to like Pacific View Art Direction to have the signs made and the ads made in kind of a cohesive fashion. But it is really different, you know, physical as opposed to on the internet and on a magazine page.
I would say it sounds very different. Specifically, asphalt art is, looking into creative things like that seems very different to me than an ad. Yeah. And so if we have people interested in both of those things, it might actually move things forward quicker if we have two different ad hocs. I think my thought was the overlap would be in the design of like banners and signs or the messaging, because, you know, whether it's a sign on the street or social media, all of it was going to be pointing people to the same place and the same call to action, basically. So that's all. And so maybe there would be a way, like you're saying, to report during meetings to accomplish that.
And I think it's good to remember, we aren't the ones suggesting necessarily, I mean, we may be suggesting some messaging or the big picture of messaging, but we're not going to be the ones making the signs. We're not doing the design. This is not the role of the commission. So I think in those ways, we're pretty safe. And then, it's just, there is a tendency for good reason not to always give updates about work all the time during these meetings because work is ongoing or you're not ready to put it into a public forum because it takes a lot of work to get your thoughts into public forum and you're not just there yet in that work process. I mean, for any ad hoc. But I'd say for these two, just during a meeting, I if they are on there, I would do a better, I'd make a point to call out and say, hey, what updates does marketing have? Does the wayfinding have any questions? Seems like it's doable.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And Jennifer?
Just a correction. Make sure it's Pacific View Arts, number 3, not art. Center. That's the formal name. I was wondering, is it a little premature to write down names of people and hasn't even gone to city council yet?
Those are ongoing ad hocs. So Chris and Carla are on the ad hoc for the
Number
mural
9.
proposal and the sculpture loan program. Myself, Carla, and Vicky are all on it.
Number 9. Number 9.
Yeah, that's the Pood Skate Park that Carla and Chris were voted to be on the ad hoc last meeting.
Okay.
It's just putting that onto
you mean
the work
based
plan.
on the old work plan?
No, this was not an item on.
Well,
number
number
9,
9.
mural proposal, Pood Skate Park, was not an item on our last year's work plan. We are suggesting in this draft of a work plan that we add it. Last month, the proposal came in, we formed an ad hoc. So in order to continue working on it in this level of detail, we thought we would put it on the work plan under public art.
Okay.
Do I not, am I misunderstanding your concern?
It just okay, whatever. Yeah, did you ever receive my suggestions from Dave?
Dave emailed me that a commissioner had made suggestions, and yes, I read through them, but that was long. It was just a few days ago, basically. It was long after this had been drafted and sent into the city to be attached.
I sent it to you a couple weeks ago. So
Yeah, I had it, and I apologize. I sent it on Friday or Thursday or Friday. I did not send it earlier. You got I apologize, but in between.
Okay. Yeah, I sent it on the March 20th, but that's all right.
So we're
I'll let it go. I was just wondering, some things. So you looked over what
hold on one sec, because I just want to finish this part of the work plan as far as reviewing what Carla and I had done, if there are any questions about it, and then we can move on to any additions or if something's missing, which I think is where you're going,
Okay.
which is a very important part of the discussion. I just want to make sure that anyone else has any questions about what we've drafted.
I'll just make sure there's an S on the arts.
Oh, yeah, that is noted.
Okay.
Beverly, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, who's going to be designing the banners? I mean, they should be arty and fun, and you said we don't design them, so who does?
I think
Any input from us? I mean, what's the scoop on that?
it is too early to talk about that right now, right?
Okay.
We don't have a banner program. We don't have wayfinding program. This is more about the year ahead. What are the ideas that you want to be working on and talking to the community about, and making recommendations to City Council, and meeting with staff about and lending some support or some ideas. So yeah, we are really an advisory body. We are not a doing body. It's a funny one to really grapple with, because of course, in order to advise, you have to do some, right? You have to do research. You have to dig in. You have to talk, and you have to make it happen. But I have no idea who would design those banners today. But if we put it on our work plan and that becomes part of that ad hoc's suggestion, or anyone suggesting, because even if you're not on an ad hoc, you can still work on these items. You just have to work individually and bring them to our public meetings. So now we'll move on to what's missing. And Jennifer, I did look at the list. Nobody else has seen it. So why don't you go ahead and share? And
Okay.
yeah.
I was just wondering if there was a section like an arts education, like there has been before, and if it would behoove to have that. So I know that what I wrote was just kind of some brainstorming things, but okay. So let me just try to paraphrase this, because I know it should be tweaked a little bit. I'm going to tweak it on the spot. Like, explore funding sources and strategic approaches to implement professional development opportunities for arts educators. That's something that I've already been exploring in different routes with the city, and I think that it would be a great place to bring arts educators there to, like, as a PD. And also, I would say I think it'd be great to look into making recommendations for. Let me look for it. I'm sorry. Other performing arts genres and programs with accompanying funding source research. So far, I don't see much music on the work plan, which should be somewhat written in or worded under number 10. I like the word, including unconventional spaces, because it is, we're not going to probably have some kind of theater space here for some time. What was the other thing? Oh, I was thinking about developing a scholarship program for high school seniors who are going to be pursuing an arts major. Underperforming arts. Just start brainstorming for that, to keep that going. So those are some of my ideas. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Dave?
Sorry, you got Dave here who gives his opinion. My apologies. But I mean, listening and seeing number 10, a lot of that discussion seems like that's fits under there. And the last one was the idea of a scholarship. I mean, unconventional pathways. I mean, seems like you could fit that in there. But given my opinion,
Yeah, I tend to agree. I absolutely want, Jennifer, you to be comfortable with the language because I know this is one that you are going to participate in. But I would say music can easily fall under there. I also, again, it's just that sense of a year goes by really fast, and to get work done and feel like we've had an impact, how do we kind of pare down and which are priorities for the year ahead. So I think everything that you've said is a fantastic idea, and we can put it on the work plan. Like the scholarship idea is a good idea. But I also I don't know what staff's capacity is to implement new programs. I don't know what the need is. It's not an idea. I haven't heard the public say that is a need. These aren't arguments against doing that. I'm just, I really want our work plan to be reflective of thinking about this year and the next year in a way. And if we should have arts education as a heading, and you want to, and everyone decides that that's a way forward, is to work with a scholarship, developing a scholarship program for high school seniors, that all fits. I think once we have all decided what should be on there tonight, it would be great to vote to move it forward to council just for timing, so that we actually have a work plan either in May, so that it can get to council. And the reason I say that is because we will not assign ad hocs until we get a new work plan. But I would love to go through and do a litmus test and just kind of hands up who would want to work on this item, just so we know that there are items on there that, even though if we all think that they're great ideas, they're not, the reality is that they're not going to get a lot of attention, and why have them on there? To play devil's advocate to myself, we might want to have them on there so that we can discuss them every meeting without having to put them on the agenda, or so that the public can come and discuss, comment on it or something like that. So the work plan is, I'm trying to pare it down to reflect the actual stuff that we do, but there is a reason also to have things on there that just don't get, a lot of traction anyway.
Typically things, planning for things like this, with the research, starting from the beginning, does take a year. So it's not something that happens just overnight. So it's good to have things. It might carry into the next year, like some of the things that are already being carried over. So it's good to start, planting the seed and seeing where it goes, and let it grow. So some things need the time. I'm just
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying our time as volunteers on the commission, how much of our time is going to be spent getting it done. That's what I mean is, this is our work plan. And I'm simply here facilitating the conversation for it. So I just want to make sure that everyone wants what's on there, and will and says that they can dedicate some time over the next year to it. So we can propose to put on an arts education heading, because that has always been on it. It's arts education is littered throughout this work plan, I think, simply because of the programs that the city offers already, and because of Pacific View Art Center. Nonetheless, it's an important title. What does everyone else think?
Well, of the items you mentioned, I think at least two of them fit really well in number 10. Music
I think that's number 10, that we can add the word music in there. I don't think we have it in there, but that, for me, performing arts, that definitely was included in there. And then also you said additional recommendations for performing arts. I think that's definitely covered in number 10 as well. So the two that then aren't, maybe, I guess we can talk about whether they are included in number 10 or not. One would be the professional development for art educators, and then the scholarship programs for art seniors. Would those two then potentially go under the arts education rubric? I think, kind of adding on to what Katie was saying, we want to put things on the work plan that will actually have people signed up to be on the ad hoc, and that will actually be able to spend the time working on. So that's when we were creating it, we were really thinking about how many items we can really get on there, because thinking there's 7 of us, I don't think, we're not going to be on 5 things each, 2, 3, maybe 4 tops per person, so we have a limited amount of time. So if you feel strongly that you want to take these on, then I think that's something that we can talk about. But I think the litmus test might help us.
Well, I just feel, I'm sorry.
I would say, as far as the specifics, the professional development, if that's something you're already working on that doesn't have to do with the commission, it's one of those things where it's like, I love the idea, but I would rather get Pacific View more on the map and make recommendations about the big picture of Pacific View rather than a specific type of programming. I think that's, we can do that, but the role of this commission, I think, in the following year just has a better chance to make an impact by doing those things. But
Yeah, I get it. Dave's already said to me, like, if you have a great idea, go ahead. I can share with them. So, and it doesn't have to go through the commission, and it'll be up to them, if they want to do things like that, do some things. But I think that so besides that, I'll leave that on the side. I think it would be a great idea to have a scholarship program for budding artists who are planning on perpetuating the tradition of the arts, and that would be wonderful for reaching out to the youth, the things that I've said, yes, I am interested in. So personally, I'm interested in, and yeah.
is anyone else interested in them? I don't mean, that sounds harsh. What I mean is, again, I've already said, I honestly think they're great ideas. I think most of your ideas are great ideas, and it's the role that you play bringing them is huge. I just want to make sure that in the past you have expressed that, and none of us there's no ad hoc with a person of 1. So I just want to make sure that if we put this on a work plan, that there's someone else is interested in being on it with you.
So scholarship for youth, who would be interested?
I'm in the same boat. I think that's a great idea. But looking at what's already on here, I know I'd be spreading myself too thin. So I probably wouldn't join the ad hoc only for that reason.
Okay, no scholarship for youth.
Again, we can vote to put it on there, and then you can give updates, and we can, what I mean, and it can be something that's talked about publicly and goes on public record, and it is a way of seeding things. But I guess I'm just asking you, is that what you would like?
Well, I know that youth are, struggling. People these days, to pay for college and stuff, and young people are looking for ways to get any kind of a little bit of money they can get for scholarships, and I just think it's a nice gesture in our city.
Okay, so that's a yes. You think it's important to put it on the commission's work plan for this year?
like I said, to start the seed of research. It takes time.
Okay.
It takes time. That's all. I'm not saying by end of next year we're going to have like this.
No, I'm not.
but
I'm not
just-
saying that. We're not discussing the merits of a potential program. We're discussing whether to place an item on the work plan. So that's what I'm trying to get to the base of, so we can move on to other items during our meeting. So I'm okay. Sounds like everyone's okay putting an arts education heading to our work plan and adding what's the language for it, Jennifer?
About
a youth scholarship, graduating senior scholarship,
okay.
research. What's the language?
I would say like identify and pursue, or identify potential funding and grant opportunities to support scholarships for graduating high school seniors who are Encinitas residents and plan to major in the arts at a secondary level.
Great.
It could be university or it could be some other type of secondary. So I don't want to limit that to,
And as far as city focus areas and goals, if we're going off these top ones because we don't think they're going to change too much, public health and safety for the protection of life, property, and the physical environment. I don't know. I don't know which one that goes under, or it doesn't have to, but
It might be number 6.
strengthening and adhering to the general plan while implementing responsible development.
Since we're going to
Yeah.
be adding that arts element to the general plan, like,
Sounds good. Okay. And the timeline would just be the whole year, 26, 27. Does that all make sense, Jamie?
Yes, could you just clarify where you would be putting this? You just said it would be its own heading, or?
Arts education heading. So, I don't know, are those alphabetical?
So again, this is to like start planting the seed and researching, not to establish a program, rubric, the whole 9 yards by 2027. It's like the C
No,
word's
I think
gonna
that's
go.
clear. Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything else that's missing? No. I will say the one thing I think is missing is any mention of technology and the future of the arts and technology and the city's relationship to that. But I don't think that it's a priority for this year. I think thinking in those terms is a priority for future planning, for Pacific View, for everything now. But that's something I think we can bring that in other ways.
Can you clarify that? What do you mean, technology use?
I think the
how?
changes with AI and all of that merits a look, basically probably from every commission. But I don't see specifically how that bridges, and I don't want it on our work plan necessarily. All right, so should we go ahead to vote to submit this draft to City Council for our 26-27 work plan? Okay.
With
yes,
the amendments?
with the amendment. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And also number 3, Pacific View Arts Center, ARTS.
So can you just restate the motion in a clear, concise sentence?
A motion to submit our proposed 26-27 draft work plan to including the changes made here tonight, to submit to City Council for their approval.
I'll second.
Let the record show the motion to approve the fiscal year 26-27 Commission for the Arts Annual Work Plan to include the changes suggested passes with all commissioners voting yes, except Commissioner Campbell, who is absent.
Thank you. All right, well done. That's exciting. And sometimes I get into like work bull mode and forget that we're here together. Actually, but it's a big deal to have that put forward, and it was also a change in format that I think is significant. All right, so we'll move on to number 8B4. 8B2. Assistant, no. That was the percentage of the arts brief. So I think we can just go to action 8BA, the California Arts Council Grant Outreach Workshop. Dave, did you want to share about that? Or Jess?
I'll go first. You correct? Okay. Fix. Actually,
So we're offering the space at the library and working with the team from downtown to put on this free public meeting, which is really exciting. Last count, they had around 60 sign-ups, so it's going to be quite popular, and hopefully we'll get a bunch of information that we can look to use for the team.
Great. And do you want to just give like a overall brief about the California Arts Council grant outreach? Like what's that happening?
They're a body that are. Yeah, go for it. I was going to say I don't know much more about them.
So the California Arts Council, kind of is a state arts leadership, which leads the arts funding, not so much going into the state, but going out. The agency that oversees districts for cultural arts, which is this is no part of that. Let me just make that clear that this is not a seeking of the district. This is the Cultural Arts Council. It is important to them, which is great, to put out to the public to make them aware the grant opportunities. It's an outreach workshop. Like, here are the opportunities now and in the near future that the California Arts Council will be touching and helping to lead. There's a lot of different discussions on their website about the paths that they'll take. One example being connection with Native American artists as one of many opportunities that they plan to have out for grant. So for us in the city of Encinitas, we will be ears wide open to find out what grant opportunities might be coming for all kinds of different ways. Specific View is one of them, but all the different arts that we touch, all the different styles of arts. We have an incredible, elaborate performing arts in the music area that, hey, can we get touches to this? Is there a grant opportunity? Is there new art opportunities in our parks that may be coming through the state? So that's what occurs on Monday. We're excited to host and look forward to those opportunities.
And as far as having that be an action item on our agenda as opposed to an informational item in one of your reports,
listing it just to include it if somebody wanted to attend, not so much to attend as a group or as a concern of a Brown Act and too many people going, but if you're interested in going, their website was still available to attend.
I just had one clarifying question. So are the grants that are available specifically to jurisdictions, or do they apply to artists as well?
This appears to be for all.
Okay.
Anything California Arts Council touches, not district. I mean, they're specific is like no more grant opportunity by being a district. Though I'm sure if you're in a district, you could apply. But yes, this is statewide.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So that's Monday, April 13th at what time? And we can look it up.
5:30.
5:30. Okay. So in other words, if any of us want to attend, reach out to you.
It's not my event. You can sign up with them directly.
Okay,
I'm just facilitating the
The only
space.
reason.
But if you
Gotcha.
need, if you need
But
if
you said you,
sorry.
you were worried about us for the Brown Act. So
So, no, what I mean by that is if you'd like to sign up, you can email me after this meeting. I'll email you the link. It's not a commission for the arts activity. You're not going to be going as a group.
even if we were all there, we would not be
No action.
violating anything.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. That's exciting. And we look forward, if any of us can go to that report, but also to hearing from staff next month about what happens and what's shared. Okay, so moving on to 8B3, and this is just a typo. This is City Council direction, not about the Pacific View Center, but actually about the generate a list of ideas for goals and policies. So that is what that is, and the document is open. So the ad hoc, do you want to go ahead? Okay.
Yeah, so this was added to the agenda. I don't know, did any of you guys have the chance to review it? Yeah? Okay. Great. So I would love to just kind of go over it again. So these are the proposed art goals and policies, which are intended to become part of the city's general plan. So these are, just to kind of put it into perspective, this is like a long-range general framework for how arts and culture will be supported and integrated and sustained in Encinitas. This isn't about specific programs. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about like the process that we went through to get this. I know some of you weren't here for it. We had kind of 4 steps. The first step was that we held a public brainstorm meeting to gather input directly from the community. So we had people come here, we broke up into small groups, we did brainstorming sessions, and then we reviewed what each group said and summarized that. The goal was to understand what people value about the arts in Encinitas and what they want to see more of. Then the ad hoc, we reviewed arts elements and cultural plans from other cities, so cities that were similar in scale and character, to understand kind of best practices and common policy structures. And then we compared those findings with what we heard from the public and kind of looked at the overlaps and basically came up with some core goals and themes and priorities. And then we drafted the policies that supported those goals. Once we had that, we met with a consultant who specializes in public art policy, Gail Goldman, who took a look at that. And then we ran it past the mayor and 2 council members as well and got their feedback. So now what we would like to do, and I can go over, I guess, how to read this and kind of go over very briefly what the different items are if you'd like me to. The structure is pretty simple. There's a goal, which describes kind of what we're trying to achieve long-term, and then there's the policies that describe kind of how the city can support that over time. And again, these are written as sort of a policy level, like very general. This isn't the place to put specific programs in. Do you think it would help to kind of go through the themes, or do you guys feel confident in having read them yourself? Okay, so great. I'll skip that. Then I guess what we want to do today is to provide feedback if you have any of that, and then if you feel comfortable, we can move towards approval and kind of forwarding these to City Council.
Is this like a guidebook or a handbook, or kind of just a best practices for people to think about when we're thinking about public art? Or
This is, just to clarify, so council realized the Encinitas general plan is like a guiding document
Right.
for all the departments. an arts element of a general plan it doesn't exist right now, and there was very little mention of the arts, like I think honestly one line in all of it. So the mayor recognized that and asked us to work on it. There is an existing master arts plan that is I think it's either 20 or 26 years old, and this is not that. Also, this is not a public art policy as far as like what we're proposing to make recommendations to in the coming year. This is really language for the general plan, which if you read through the general plan or even just pick out, like they gave us the recreation element to look at for guidance, it's formatted in this way. So yeah, it's used to guide. It's a reference for any council members. It's a reference for staff. It's a reference for commissions to look at. Once the language has been accepted into the general plan, it becomes mandated. So an arts element is, you don't have to, it's not required by the state for any city to have, but if you do want to add any elements, once it's added, then it becomes mandated by the state and city.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think there's a point that really any question would be answered in this document if somebody had questions about, well, is art making the city any money, or going to make it. I think it's great. Great document. Great job.
Just wanted to clarify too that we did kind of ask, like, are we supposed to write the arts element that will actually be adopted into the general plan? And that was clarified that we didn't need to do that. So this is really just something we sent to the city council, and then someone else actually writes the words that would be adopted into the general plan. Just clarify.
Totally. No, that's a great point. I mean, when this first came to us, I think my opinion was that this is not the job of a commission to write this. The job is to recommend hiring a consultant to write this, because it's no joke. Nonetheless, the work that Carla did, the work that Robin did, was really extraordinary on it to get it to this place where it is a lot of language that could be used verbatim. But yeah, next step was that it would go to city council and go to the city attorney, and then either they'll come back to us or they'll take it from there.
I think it should be chiseled in granite immediately.
I have a question on 7.4. Empower the Commission for the Arts to collaborate with staff and advise City Council on arts policy investments. What does that mean?
I think that was just talking about the role of the commission and getting that in the general plan. So again, all of these are so general. I think it's just saying that the city values the commission's input and collaboration on such things as arts policies, investments, cross-department initiatives.
So it's not a financial thing in there?
No.
Okay.
Well, I do think it would be like, we might advise on something that has funding behind it, right? Like public art.
We already do advise on that, yeah. So some commissions, every city is organized differently, and some commissions have a budget, some don't. It depends on the governance of the city and also on the commission. And but no, I think that just like any of the other ones is kind of calling out that the coordination and clarity around the roles and the relationships between all of the parts of those who are having direct impact on this stuff should be called out, clarified, and recognized. If that makes sense.
The question, I was just thinking to myself, what would be the difference between this, which I understand is going to be part of this, the general plan, but then like we were talking about, there's the master arts plan. So how do those two documents work together, or where are they? I was just curious.
It's a great question. So that's, again, why we decided to add that, to make a recommendation about updating the public art policy, which is not a recommendation necessarily to update the master arts plan. So the different kinds of plans get updated at different speeds. The general plan, I think each element is updated generally like every 5 to 8 years, ideally. And that's just always kind of ongoing work of a city. An arts master plan can be updated, I think, every 5 to 10 years. Then you have a master art, then you have there's also a public art policy that can lay out kind of the structures, the structure of programs, talks about funding, and it can go in depth. So when we've been researching, there's arts master plans, there's public art policies that are 30 pages long, because they go into all the different programs. There's just a whole, again, slew of things. And one reason why it may be worth recommending hiring a consultant, not necessarily to do a whole master arts plan or a consultant in the way of here, take this whole project and run with it, but maybe at least to be a consultant in the true sense of, hey, if we take something this big on, which I think the city is ready to, let's make sure that all of these parts speak to each other. They're doing it very responsibly so that you don't vote something in and then be like, oh, whoops, we shouldn't have done that, and create a bunch of work for someone else to untake. So it's the work of public professionals who really understand public art policy, master arts plans, how it all works, within city governance and other documents is very important.
And I just followed up to say that we realized in hearing the input from the public and then, taking that and turning it into this document, that if this was implemented into the general plan, it would kind of affect everything else. Yeah, like everything would kind of have to be updated following that implementation. So that's why the public art policy is on the work plan.
Okay. Any other questions or anything? Would someone like to make a motion to vote to approve to submit this list of goals and policies to?
I can make a motion.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to make sure I'm saying the right title here. I'd like to make a motion to recommend this draft of the arts element for the Encinitas general plan, recommended goals and policies to the city council for review.
I'll second that. Oh,
Just making this clear. So this was a goal. So submitting this to council as part of the work plan achievement for the year?
Yep.
Okay.
And this was a city council directed goal item.
so yeah, I seconded that. So basically, this is a gold star or something, right? Come.
Let the record show that the motion to approve the arts element goals and policies to submit to City Council passes with 6 commissioners voting yes and with Commissioner Campbell absent.
Thank you. Yeah, well done. It's no small feat, even though this remains just a recommendation at this point. It's no small feat to come up with a document that has never existed for the city before. So, well done, and my congratulations to all of us.
Just a quick question, though. I'm sorry. I just wanted, I just want to clarify. If somebody wanted to refer to it as a citation for backup, I was just, again, I guess I'll have to think about it, but how would this take precedence over something that's in the Master Arts Plan? I'm sorry to bring it up again, because the Master Arts Plan also has some very similar language, but this one seems more updated. So which would, if somebody was a really scholarly person, who would they, which one would they use as a citation to back up their work if they were going to do that?
Again, my understanding is that these perform two different functions. The general plan, if council accepts this list and brings it to the city attorney and say, whatever steps need to move forward so that then, okay, all of a sudden it is part of the general plan. Again, then it becomes mandated. So I would say this probably has precedent over a general master arts plan that was written by and approved by a previous commission, but doesn't exist within this is legislation once it's approved. And a master arts plan is something that the city agrees upon, that staff uses to work, and move forward. And yes, that does need updating too. But
okay, I totally get it.
Dave, does that feel right? What I just said? Not feel right, but accurate.
I think you're doing a very good job with it. Thank you. And the key here is you're giving this as part of the yearly goals and accomplishments, and it's for the review. At that point, it's not action that night. I mean, it's not hey, you're approving 7.1, 7.2. We're giving you the work we've done for your review.
I just meant, again, I kind of posited, okay, say that's happened and then they take it and they run with it and it does actually become part of the general plan. What I just stated then is accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've heard multiple times and greatly appreciate when it comes to the recreation element, which exists in the general plan, is that it's not required, but once it becomes part of the general plan, it is.
Sounds good. All right, so we will move on to public art. So action item 4A, discuss Encinitas Friends of the Arts mural proposal for the Encinitas Park Skate Bowl POODS.
Yes, this is me again. Yes, so as you guys know, the Friends of the Arts were here, Encinitas Friends of the Arts were here, and they, at our last meeting, and they showed us some proposals for the POODS Community Skate Park, or the POODS Bowl. So Commissioner Cote and I have been working on this, and we gave it some thought, and we decided that we would really like to put out an open call for this mural. The reason for that is that we wanted to make sure that this mural fully reflects the community, especially the skating community that uses the space regularly. We are very thankful for what Encinitas Friends of the Arts have done. We really love the renderings that they've gotten already. This has nothing to do with those proposals. We really appreciate that, and they will continue to be considered. But we would like to kind of pause on that and suggest an open call, right, just to ensure that skaters, artists, and community members all have a real opportunity to participate. Also to kind of create a process that builds transparency and trust. And then finally, for me, I would really love this to be an opportunity to really celebrate our local skate culture and artists, and be more than just a selection exercise. So I would love for all of the final artists to be recognized and shared and celebrated, not just kind of the final selected artists. And I would also love for the broader community to learn something about kind of the skate culture, those that don't know that much about it, I'm including myself here, and kind of the energy around that culture. So we put together kind of a process for that, and I think that was added in the as an attachment. I can go over it kind of briefly. So the first step in that, and Chris, jump in if you have anything to say, but the first step in that, and Chris has already started doing this, and I would say it's one of the most important steps, is what I'm calling a site brief and community engagement. So that's sort of starting this process by listening to the community there. Chris has already started doing interviews with skaters and photographers and kind of other stakeholders. We would also like to propose a public feedback session. So similar to what we did when we were gathering feedback for the policies, goals and policies, we'd like to do something like that at a meeting. And this will help us define really what success looks like in a mural for this particular place. Did you want to add anything to that, Chris?
Not yet.
Okay, good. So once we have that information, then that'll be shared, and we'll move on to an open call for submissions. And, you know, at that point, we would be inviting any artists to create a rendering and submit that. The next step would be a jury review. So we would have, you know, a jury that would be that would have arts commissioners, representative of the Encinitas Friends of the Arts, and then 5 community representatives. And they would be judging this based on artistic quality, alignment with the site brief, so what we had kind of created in our step 1, and also alignment with the Encinitas public art mission. And then step 4 would be getting public input. Public input. So the finalists would be shared publicly. Artists would be invited to give artist talks. I'd like to mention here that that would be purely optional. The artists could also decide not to if they didn't want to, and the talk is not part of the decision process. It's just an opportunity for these artists to be kind of recognized in the community and celebrated. I think a lot of people would love to learn about the artists and their process, so hoping that that would be a very positive experience. And then we would look to gather feedback across multiple channels. A couple of things I want to mention here is that this is not a public vote. It's gathering feedback, and we wouldn't be asking people necessarily which design that they like the best as individuals, but we'd be asking what feels true to that space or what represents that community. So I think I'm pointing this out because I think that distinction really matters, because we're listening, again, for what is the best fit for that space. And then the final selection, all of that information will come back to the Commission for the Arts. And then we will, evaluate, we'll think about what the jury's evaluation, the public input, and then our thoughts on which mural ultimately fits the space the best. And then we would make a recommendation that we would pass on to City Council. And at that point, hopefully we'll have a mural that really reflects the identity of the skate community, and we will have celebrated and created visibility for our local artists and skate culture. Yes.
I'm really mixed about this because I feel like that they put so much effort into those murals, and that, I thought they were great murals and something we could pick from, or this whoever picks them, and then that this is really going to slow the process of getting that done. So I'm not sure, I get where you're coming from, but I just have mixed emotions.
Yeah, I would really like to get this moving forward as quickly as possible. I understand that as a hesitation, and I do really appreciate that the artwork that those artists already created, they won't be asked to do any more work on that, and those proposals will move forward in the process, so they won't need to do more.
Well, I think it's a really great outline that you put together. And I think to contribute to an answer to that, it's important to have the input from the public. And we couldn't straight out, pick out something and put it up. We would definitely have to have the input of the public. I was just wondering a couple of things. The jurying, the 40-40-20, how do you plan to go about that? Are you going to make a rubric?
Yes. Yeah, there'll be a rubric. Also there's artistic quality, so there will be guidelines in terms of how to judge artistic
Okay,
qualities. And
so-
then the site brief, that's what we'll be creating. The site brief is essentially what we've determined that the skate community is looking for.
So I was thinking that like I'll let you know when I'm done. I was thinking that a rubric it would be good to have a uniform rubric for the jurying, also the public, and the final, and the commission too. So it's
So the public isn't voting,
right. Okay.
so they
Right,
won't need
okay.
a rubric.
But what would be what would the input? Would it just be comments, or would it be some kind of questions?
Yeah, well, again, we'll be asking for the public's input on which of the murals they find is the best fit and best aligns with kind of the site brief.
Like
So
maybe a ranking?
Well, it could be questions, like what feels true to the space or what best reflects this community, things like that,
Okay.
is what we're asking for.
And my last thing, what I was going to say is for communication channels, what about some of the newspapers?
Yeah, absolutely. Chris has agreed to help us get the words out. And we're
Like North
very-
Coast News,
Sure.
or any of those?
Great.
That's all, thanks.
And also kind of, Beverly, to get back to what you were saying, I did some research, and one of the biggest problems I think that happens in public art is that the community where the public art is placed doesn't feel like they're part of the process. And so that is my main concern here. And that is ultimately the reason why I think we decided that an open call would be a good move. I want to emphasize that Encinitas, the Friends of the Arts, did a great job. They definitely did a great job choosing the artists that they reached out to. But I just want to make absolutely sure that everybody has this
The
chance.
community consists of only 5 community members. Is that one from each area? Leucadia, Livenheim? I mean, what does that mean, that you're only getting input from 5 community representatives?
So it's pretty common for a jurying panel to be about 8 people. And when we say the community, it's going to be a diverse group, but it's not necessarily going to be split among the Encinitas communities. I think we're going to have representatives from the skating community.
Okay, so when we talk about it, we're talking about the public, i.e. 5 people.
Well, it's a total of 8
Okay.
because we're also public.
Yeah.
And then somebody representing the Encinitas Friends of the Arts.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
I think that's the case as far as the jury is concerned, but that's not what we mean when we're talking about to the public. So both holding this special meeting, from what I understand, is about certainly engaging the skate community, but also the greater community at large about this, about what it means, about what this place means, all those things that can go into the site brief. And then finally, what was I going to say? And then public input as far as comments that the city can receive, just like they receive for the sculpture loan program or anything like that. I think the comments, again, what we will be taking into account, or what a jury would be taking into account, is this a good fit? Here are the parameters that the commission, the skate community has come up with for this specific site. Let us know, so that council loves to read input and things like that, but it's not a ranking from the public.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question earlier. Yeah, so the public will have multiple ways to be involved, including coming to this meeting, the special meeting, and giving input on what they want to see in the mural, how they would like the mural to reflect the community. They'll have input to, give their input on the finalists, which we as a commission will also consider. So there'll be different ways for the public to give the input.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I also like your timeline, that it's pretty quick.
I think the idea of public awareness, general public, and then the actual skateboarders who are going to be at this place is so people don't feel blindsided by something going up, and making sure it's just over and over in a tight timeline. Like, there's a mural going here, and you might not necessarily get to pick it per se, but we want everybody to feel as comfortable as we can. I mean, art is so subjective. It's like, I think the hard part is, skateboarders, not just old heads, but the hardcore skaters that hang out there are notorious gatekeepers. And, even in talking to some of them, they're like, why do we need a mural? And, talking to others, very excited about the prospect of it. So wading those waters of, again, can't please everybody all the time, but the fact that this is in this enclosed hardcore skate arena, I feel like it's a little bit different of considerations than if it was, on a seawall at Moonlight Beach or something like that. Obviously, it should be appreciated by the general public, but for the skaters, photographers, and people that are here day in and day out, it's not that they get any more say, than the general public, but they're the ones that are going to be engaging with this mural every day. So just in talking to, photographers and skaters, I've only really gone to the chorus of the course so far, and some skateboarding luminaries, some pro skaters. And the initial input is, it's very interesting. It's unique from everybody for sure. But I think this timeline makes sense, and I think that, the fact that the Friends of the Arts brought this up is just awesome, because I don't think a lot of people even thought of that space as like a, good spot for a mural until you actually look at it and you go, oh my gosh, this is one of the coolest spots in town for a mural. So it's going to be very interesting to see what skateboarders inherently are artists, in their own right for actually like riding the skateboard. But then you have the photographers and the parents that bring the kids down, the kids, all of the whole thing. So I think for me, she's doing all the actual hard work stuff. I'm going skating and talking to people. So I'm going to continue to do that and broaden the scope of who I'm talking to, who I'm engaging with, not only at the skate park, but around town, because I think Encinitas is really proud of this skate park. So I think there's a lot of people care, what's going in there, even if you would never plan on going there. I think it's going to be, my part's fun for now. So.
I just want to say great job on putting this together. I think this is a great reflection of kind of what we're trying to do with all the different public art opportunities that are, coming up from the sculpture loan, and then we keep getting these donation murals that we kind of each time we kind of struggle with how best to go about accepting them. So I think this is a great solution, because it kind of moves away from one person's perspective or a small group of people doing something by invitation only, and then opening it up to the public, because like you say, the people that inhabit the space and feel like it's, a part of their daily life, they should have some input as to what lives there for whatever period of time the mural exists. So great job. Yeah, I would move to, approve this if that's what we're going for, and put it into, I guess, our work plan.
It's so great hearing everyone's thoughts on this, and again, thank you both of you for the work on it. I agree. Tonight's action is really just to discuss and share about it, and to see if we agree about moving forward with this. And then in our May meeting, we would staff can come back in our May meeting with dates for a special meeting to gather that public input from the public at large, and specifically the skate community. And then at that point, I think we would vote. There will be a staff report that will be made, and then we can vote about this, moving this specific process and timeline forward to recommend to council that we do. I have one more comment that tees off of what Beverly said earlier, which is that, again, this is an interesting one because the EFA is coming with this as a donation. It's a donation of a commission. And, in many cities, the way that the commissions work is that there's a directory of artists that have already been vetted on their background, on their merit, on their body of work. and that from there they're invited to participate, and whoever gets chosen then drafts a proposal. And so they're being paid to do that proposal, and they're being paid to come to do that work with the public and to come up with an image that's really not unveiled basically until the end. And I think that there's value in that process, and we don't have a policy that says to do that yet. If that's even something that we want to do, but I just want to put that on public record because. And Carla said it in different way, that we really value the work that these 3 artists have already done and done for free, and that these are all working artists. It takes time to put these things together. Any artist that puts applies to this open call, likewise. So this is a route that we're potentially choosing, and I think it fits Encinitas. I think it fits this specific site. I had never been to Poods. I'd been to Encinitas Community Park plenty of times in like the skate area. I am afraid of heights, and so it was like scary for me to go near the edge. A friend wanted to photograph me there. I was like, no, I cannot take one step further. But it is. It's always good, if you haven't been, go, because it is different than what you see in the pictures. And it is enclosed, and it is a space unto itself. And anyway, so those are all significant. And then Rosemary would also like to speak on this topic.
Yes, we have one speaker who would like to speak to agenda item 8B 4A. Rosemary Kimball would like to speak in opposition to the recommended action for the Poods mural open call process. And as a reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
So most of you know that I've been coming for about 2 years every month. And my main reason for coming was to really encourage you to take your power. And you are the body that are supposed to make these decisions, and putting it out to the public is just such a faulty idea. If you ever read any of the comments that came back, it was just like kindergarten. And then you you are the ones who know. And you are the ones who need to stand up and say, this is what we've decided. And it's already gone through an amazing amount of process with what EFA and NIME and that group has put together. There's been a lot of people who are skaters who got to get involved. But then you take it to the city council, and then they're going to be like the general public, say, well, I don't like this one, or I like that one. I mean, you've been there. It's take your power. I've been here 24 times, I think. And I've been telling you that and saying, what is it that you wanted to do when you took this position as the city council, as the arts commissioners, to do something about art in Encinitas? And here it is. And then you're going to just throw it away and let the public just do all their crap with it? That's it. That's what I have to say.
I'm Chris. Nice to meet you.
I was in your office
Yes.
a while back.
Yes. Good to see you again.
Yes.
No, I hear you there for sure.
Okay.
Um,
Why did you want to do this? Why did you want to volunteer and do this?
A point of order, there's no conversation to go back and forth.
Okay.
sorry.
The speaker, that's okay.
A point of order, if someone is speaking to an agenda item, then we can ask clarifying questions and we can have a back and forth. Is that, I believe so.
You might be right. I'm not.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yep.
my error.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Teamwork.
No
You got
problem.
it.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
No, I think it brings up a great point. And I have seen the comments on many things, not just art related, but a lot of things city related. I feel like it's more, to me, it's more about just letting people know that this process is happening. I think the vetting of the artists and the jury that we have ultimately would be a trustworthy source. It would be, we're thinking of names like Tony Hawk, Grant Britton, real luminaries, not only in our city, but in the global skateboarding world. So taking into consideration those type of names, and I think the fact that we would be trying to streamline this process, and again, I think we're on the same page of, it's not like we're putting the murals on the Encinitas magazine Instagram page and saying which one do you like the best. It's more, I think, in my estimation of what this document and what we're trying to do here is just I'm kind of in it for the skaters, because I'm there a lot. So I think letting the skaters, again, I think, I'm also a surfer, and I don't know if anyone in here was part of the Cardiff Kook debacle. That was the thing that I think most surfers in town were blindsided by, like, what is this thing? Eventually we all come around and come to love it. But I think just trying to make it to where it's, accepted by the people that use the space. And it's not just like they show up one day and there's somebody painting the wall in the bowl. But I think, in terms of exercising our power, I think myself in particular, both of us on the ad hoc are just doing our best to make sure that, we're taking into consideration a lot of the things that we have opinions about, that I think this panel will have opinions about. And ultimately, I would assume the EFA would have final say if they want to donate. I mean, if we say, here's the recommendations, and the EFA says, well, we like this one. I mean, is that how it works? If this is a power discussion? Because I know you've been speaking to Brenda and the EFA, and they're on board with opening up a little bit.
They are on board with it. I suggested to them, and they agreed to have, I thought it would be a great idea if one representative from the EFA was on the jurying panel, but they really like the idea of opening this up and getting public opinion, and they were happy to fundraise for the ultimate choice. Yeah. And I guess I would like to say, for me, there's a big difference, and this comes up a lot, actually, and there's a big difference between kind of judging in terms of, see, I don't think it's my role to choose which one of those I like the best. I don't think that is my role. I think that what I would like to do is I would like to find the mural that works best for the people that use that space every day. I would like to get the biggest input, the most I guess support for the artists that submit their ideas, and I would like to get the most involvement with the community, and I would like the best mural to be there. At this point, I don't have the information that I need to make that choice, and so part of this process is the most important part of this process is getting that information, which is what Chris is already starting. And I think I hear your point. We've also noticed that in the past with the sculpture loan program, there were a lot of negative comments. And I want to spare every artist having to go through that. That is not artist friendly. That is not what we're trying to do, which is why I'd also really like to shift that conversation from, which one do you like best, to here's the criteria that we're trying to fill. Which one, in your opinion, best fills that criteria? So I think for those reasons, that's why I was really considering this open call as the best way to move forward. I'm not sure if that.
And I would just like to address what you said and just mention that, I totally appreciate what the Encinitas Friends of the Arts has done here. They've just created an opportunity, and they've done the work of saying, hey, this is a great space for public art. We're totally in agreement with that. And we're not disregarding that effort at all. This is I'm just really trying to use, the power in this position to make the process more equitable and to give more opportunities to more artists that are here in this area. Because otherwise it becomes a very small pool of invite only. And that just didn't feel right for this space. And that may be what we're moving to for public art in general. We're trying to make it a little more equitable and open to the community.
Yeah, I just want to say, I appreciate processes, and because that's what I think what the arts are about. We tend to focus a lot on product, and if we have this really nice sound process involved, and where every stakeholder has an opportunity to voice, as an arts educator, there's we have, when I teach K through 8th grade. We have standards, and they're like create, perform, present, produce, respond, and connect. Those are artistic connections, and they're very important about the whole, how you produce, how you create art, and we cannot dismiss even, the respond part, and whether it's, everybody has a different opinion, but I like how you're going to go about it with steering it with like objectives instead of such an open mind, like, do you like it, yes or no? That way you stay with the objectives of it, and that will keep it, this should keep it positive. But I think that in this seat, these seats up here, I don't see it as some kind of power thing. I just feel like I'm a helper of the process, and I couldn't sit here and just like pick things, as a commissioner, and it's also being a part of a team here.
And just one more time to address you, ma'am. I'll be totally honest. If this mural was going up on like a pickleball court or a golf course, no offense to pickleball and golf, they're both really fun, but the fact that it is going up in a skate park, I care a lot, and I want to do everything that I can do, as my new badge that I just got tonight says, just to make sure that this is, I guess, in easy word, the coolest mural that we could possibly have in that space, because that space deserves it. But I really liked your speech. You got me fired up. So thank you. Yeah.
Go. I appreciate everyone's comments. Always appreciate you being here, Rosemary. And I feel like we've heard that in through and through. And this body and even this conversation tonight reflects us hearing that and making slow changes to that, and also to how we are responded to by council. Now, I agree in the past about how unprofessional and disappointing some of the rhetoric has been from people sitting up here on the dais during council meetings, by members of the public. I'm sure that I have made, mistakes in the past when I was sitting here in my first year as a commissioner, not understanding what the process was or what a rubric was or how to be mindful. The changes we made to the sculpture loan program are absolutely about that. I do think that, I will say, the fact that council has final say. Usually in cities, when council has final say, what council is responding to is, has this process been followed to a T? Does this all fit with what has been decided upon, and what is, what is the intent? If so, then they say, yes, we accept a recommendation. It's not about doing all of this work, all of this public, input, involvement of the public, and the involvement of the artists, everybody, to get to a point that it comes to council and council says, I don't like the mural, no, we're not passing it. I agree with you that shouldn't happen. So I'm going on record to say that, but as I understand it today, that is the case, right? What I understand today is that when we put a recommendation to council, now, with these clear processes in place, with this particular one, with the sculpture loan program that council approved those changes of, and why next year's work will be so important if they approve for us to work on the public art policy, is so that all of those processes are sound, and we can point a finger and say, hey, there's the process. It's been followed. You voted on it. And this isn't about what your favorite color is. So I think we are well on our way there. And this is a great thank you to the EFA, thank you to the artists, thank you to you guys, because it's a great vessel to put some of that into place. So there you go.
And so if the city council is up here getting yelled at by somebody because they don't like the mural, they can say, we did this, 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 and this.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's also much better communication right now between the commission and council, between the commission and staff, I can't speak for staff about communication between staff and council, but there seems to be, we are meeting with council members, and we are informing them about our work along the way, so that by the time an item is pulled, especially on something like this, where it gets to that final vote by council, everyone should be so well informed that they can express to the public, this is what's happened and this is why I will approve it, or this is what happened and this is why I will not approve it. But that's part of being held to account whenever anyone is sitting up in a place like this, volunteer or not. So.
One last thing I just want to say, you mentioned that about speaking with council members. They are very accessible, so we should all, if we want to talk with them, we can do that. I've learned that. I used to think, they're in a far away, sitting on a throne, but no, they're very, very accessible and very personable.
Okay, great. So let's move on. I think we are all basically in agreement. Doesn't need to be a vote tonight, but staff, are you good with coming back with some dates for a special meeting in May where we can hold a public workshop regarding generating this, getting input about the site brief and.
Did we take action to ask for a special meeting? No, right? We just
I don't believe so.
Yeah, what you're saying is you want a special meeting date. We talked about it. Just give me that direction, and then I can send out and find a date that works for all of us.
We would like a special meeting.
Need a second.
Second.
Shouldn't we approve that plan so they can start sending out the artists?
It seems like we should, but actually it's going to work better to have a staff report and to do it in this way. So we will approve this plan in May. Thank you for that. It totally makes sense. I think this is a step forward. And just for the record, I don't think I said I'm making a motion, if that matters. I think you were just asking. So just so that it's on the record, because these things do get weird sometimes, right? You just said, did I?
Do we need to vote that we're going to pick another day in May and have a second meeting?
If you're going to make a motion, then you would vote, but if not, I don't believe you have to vote.
Okay.
Do you want to make a motion to vote, to create a vote?
I just said it because Carla seconded.
We're doing.
Yes. I'm just saying, because of past looking at records, the city clerk sometimes comes back and says the language wasn't there.
We could just make it a vote if you want to make it a motion to vote.
Oh, this is a motion to approve and not vote.
A special meeting, a motion to hold
Perfect.
a special meeting.
We're good. We're good then. Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you make that into a sentence? Vote.
So you're voting. You're going to vote.
We're voting.
Yeah, would you tell me what I'm voting for in a good clear sentence?
Voting to
sorry, it's your.
Voting to hold a special meeting, hopefully in May, regarding the EFA proposal for a mural at Poods Skate Park.
Okay. Let the record show that the motion passes with 6 commissioners voting yes, and Commissioner Campbell is absent.
Thank you. Okay, we are plowing through this. We're moving on to 8B5 to review final outcomes from the 25-26 work plan and vote to approve submission to City Council. So we went through this last.
Excuse me, Chair,
Yeah.
sorry. We're approaching 7 o'clock. Should we make a motion to extend that? Or?
Please do.
Okay, I make a motion to extend the meeting to 7:30.
I second.
Sorry for the interruption.
No, I appreciate it.
If I have to leave at 7:15, should I vote nay?
Nope, you can still vote until you have to go.
Okay.
Thank you. I mean,
I don't know how
I'm so
that
sorry.
works.
You should vote however you want to vote.
No, I did. I voted how I want to vote.
Let the record
I want
show
you guys to stay here till 7:30.
the motion to extend the meeting by 30 minutes to 7:30 passes with 6 commissioners voting yes, and Commissioner Campbell is absent.
Thank you. Okay, so now moving on to 8B5. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Did everyone have a chance to review those? Jamie, thank you for typing those up and probably rewatching our meeting to get that done. It all looked good for me. Does anyone have any changes to make? Mm-hmm.
Just a question. For the call for artists for the environmental award, does this belong as an outcome in the work plan?
I don't think so, because it wasn't a work plan item. Where did it fall under there? Let's see.
I think we put it under either public art or arts advocacy, but because we did form an ad hoc.
That is a great plan. I'm just opening up the document again.
But you're right, there's no specific item. It's really just a question of whether or not it needs to be an outcome.
Staff?
I think it's getting Dave's opinion. It's a great accomplishment. It's a matter of finding the spot for it to fit. I'm just looking through. To be honest, if you can't make it fit, I'm struggling with that. You can still call it out in the presentation. I mean, you're going to have a presentation to City Council. Here's the accomplishments. You can go through the work plan. You can add, we also did this.
It might fall under visual art.
It could fall under arts advocacy, number 5, research and coordinate brief presentations.
Yeah.
That's a big stretch, though.
I'm totally fine with not including it as an outcome. Just wanted to make sure we didn't miss something.
Thank you.
Oops.
Yeah.
Is that going to go in the other commission's accomplishments? So at least it gets somewhere? We can do the reach out for that.
I really don't know, because it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing that came together quickly and is now active. So
Also, should it be clarified on 3 that the generating the idea thing was voted today in April?
Not number 3, but that was mentioned before for the general plan, number 13. Is that what you mean?
Oh.
We should add that.
Yeah, maybe update that. Yeah, I meant 13, not 3.
Yeah. So for number 13, this work shaped the creation of a well-informed recommendation for city council that was just say this, the recommendations for city count to be submitted to city council were approved at the April 6th, 2026 meeting, instead of that final line.
I think that works. I don't see any other changes on my end.
Looks great to me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see anywhere else to put that in there, Robin, so I'll be sure to call it out.
That sounds good. Thank you.
For the asphalt one, Commissioner Campbell wasn't here. Number 7, the asphalt. It says that a recommendation at the April commission meeting. I don't know what I'm missing. I guess I'm tired. Does that make sense?
The research identified an opportunity. The ad hoc committee will present a recommendation at the April commission meeting for a vote. She's not here, so let's just say the research identified opportunities and I'm on that ad hoc, and there's no recommendation that I'm aware of that needs to be voted on. I know that it's important to her that this work be continued, and that's why we put it into the wayfinding. And so I think she gets first dibs on being on the wayfinding ad hoc if that gets approved. We can, that's good. That was an oversight.
What if we just remove that last sentence?
Yeah, I think I know her intention is to turn it into a program potentially for Pacific View, but that's not something that we've presented. There's no like document to present at this point. I don't think so. It's not. Wouldn't have. I don't think it was going to come today. So yeah, maybe we just nix that final sentence. Okay. Then is there a motion?
I'll make a motion
Which is?
to approve the work plan of 2025 to 2026 with the caveat of the included revisions.
I'll second.
Let's just add the word outcomes in there, the work plan outcomes.
Outcomes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll second.
Great.
Let the record show the motion to approve the fiscal year 25-26 work plan with the suggested revisions passes with 6 commissioners voting yes and 1 commissioner absent, Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you. All right, well done. Now we get to the joy of the meeting, which is to sit back and hear the Cultural Arts Division report.
All right. Hello, everybody. So this is the Pacific View Arts Centre report firstly. Spring camps happened. We had a total of 51 kids attending 3 city-led camps. 2 art camps, 1 multimedia camp. There was also a contract instructor-led camp that happened at the same time down at the centre, so we're very busy. We've got some incredible feedback from the kids that if you have a free minute you'd like to come down and see, it's well worth a look. And we have a pop-up exhibition from the camps, which is displaying artwork by all of the kids at Encinitas Community Centre on Art Night in the banquet hall. A little review from last March compared to this March. We have a 30% increase in the number of classes offered. We have a 53% increase in the number of classes that ran. We have a 34% increase in the number of participants. And the percentages of classes offered that ran in comparison is a 17% increase. We have some incredible open sessions that are donation-based programming that I'd love you all to know about and share onwards. We have Open Jam, which happens throughout April 12th. That's for 16 plus. That's Sundays. We've got Open Studio, which is April 12th again. They happen in the same dates. That's 18 plus. And then we have Open Studios for little artists, April 12th, 12 till 1. That's for 2 to 5-year-olds. Parents are obviously encouraged to join in. And all of those programs are donation based, so spread the word. We've got an art camp for grown-ups happening next week. There's 5 sign-ups already, which is incredible. You do have that flyer in the little pack of flyers that I gave you all. We also have a recording studio, and it's available to be used as a program. We have an engineer that joins in, and it's $60 an hour. And so if you want to be part of that, you want to come and do a little bit of recording and learn how that all happens, you call the centre and arrange dates and times subject to availability. So that's Pacific View. City Run programs. Music by the Sea series continued with another sellout concert featuring harpist Vanessa Fountain. Wednesdays at noon, again, another packed event with overflow in the lobby. Everybody stayed for the entire show. That was Muddy Mountain West Bluegrass. The Environmental Award artist call went out. There are currently no applications, but it is early days. The call ends on 6/21, and the jurying will begin in July, and the artists will be informed by October the 1st. The spring egg hunt happened this past Sunday at Encinitas Community Park. The arts team hosted a special pop-up workshop, which was make your own bunny ears, learn to make a button, and learn to draw a bunny. We had over 200 kids and parents, and we had a good old time making art as our staff informed parents about all of our spring and summer programs, about the Arts Centre and more. Arts Alive banners have all been dropped off and they look incredible. I cannot wait for the launch and the reveal, which is on Saturday, May the 9th, 3 to 5 at Encinitas Community Centre. So please come along for that. There'll be 2 banners that will be created at Art Night. So if anybody wants to be part of that program, they can come and participate in making their own banner. And it's a community project, so they'll get to put a little bit of paint on there. The commission calendar. So we have artists 2D, 3D calls for the art exhibitions in 2027. Open April 6th. That's today. It closes August 23rd. Deliberations will be mid-September with jurying, and the artists will be contacted by November the 1st. Wednesdays at noon, we have April 8th, 15th, 22nd, 29th ongoing, Encinitas Library 12 till 1 with classical jazz and a flute ensemble as part of the key takeaways from that cycle of concerts. Pacific View Sessions, again, is running every Thursday, April 9th, 16th, 23rd, 30th at Pacific View Art Centre. If you can't get along to participate in that program, it gets streamed the following week on our city's YouTube channel. We've got Dude Cervantes and the Panchos coming up, Hantu, which is ghost punk, and then we have a multi-instrumentalist indie folk rock band, so we like to keep it weird and wonderful. State of the City happens this week. There's going to be some wonderful music there, so if you haven't got your ticket, go along to that. California Arts Council Grant Outreach Workshop, we spoke about, that's coming up. Again, 52 sign-ups last check. The big one, April 18th, where there's something happening all over the city, is Art Night. And I know some of you have already signed up to volunteer. Thank you so much. I'll take any and everybody, whoever wants to come. Ocean of Poetry is coming up again April 19th. Gustavo Hernandez is our featured poet. He's a poet laureate of Orange County 2024. So please get along for that. And 12:30 is sign up, 1 o'clock is featured poet, and it runs till 3 p.m. at the Encinitas Library. We've got Encinitas Springs Fair coming up April 25, 26. We have a booth and we'll be running art activities, make your own holiday cards and buttons, and all of our information will be there. All arts commissioners are welcome to come and interact with the community. We'd love to see you. Music by the Seas coming up May the 1st. We've got Kenneth Liao on violin. Get your tickets, it will sell out. And then our last item is Movies in the Park at Glen Park May 2nd. Is Surfs Up, and we'll be doing Make Your Own Surfer and Board.
Thank you
awesome.
for that. That was fantastic. I have been hearing from people all over that how Encinitas does such an amazing job putting on arts programming and events. Like, that's really, really known out there. So, bravo. Department update.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I said, go fast. And she had so much, and she covered so much ground. But I do want to take a second to brag about arts. And, you know, you're part of that team. You're part of that team. And we talked about different things today and what goes up to city council, what is shared with the department on how we should serve the community, what is the best interaction to get people involved. You've just heard about all the different things that we're doing in the arts, and you're involved in making those things happen. Not just at the Arts Center, at the library, involved in different events. And there was a great example that I want to share. I don't want to let go. So we did the egg hunt this past weekend. 20,000, plastic egg filled, huh? Did you place them all? I was part of that team, definitely. We had a city council, oh no, wrong person, as we dumped the bags. Great volunteers from the high school. But I walk around and of course, as a director, I'm looking for that, what is that wow moment? Like, it's wow to look out and see, like 1,000 people coming from the playground as we get closer to the time. And then they kind of vanish for a few minutes after they grab their eggs, and they're back, because 45 minutes later, we do the hunt again. But this year, it was art. There was one item that I actually stopped the gentleman. I took a photo. It's not something that I can put up and share. It's two people. I didn't get a waiver from them. But it was a father. And I would say he had his daughter that was probably 2, maybe 3, and she had on the bunny ears. They'd been over at the booth, painted the ears, and she had them on. And that's great. That's what we wanted from the kids, right? We saw a lot of kids going around doing the hunts with that. But the coolest part was the dad had one on too. And he didn't have bunny ears. He had butterfly. He had this butterfly with the eyes thing. And to me, it was just so touching that we gave this opportunity, and that's all it was. He had to take that opportunity, he and his daughter, and they took that opportunity. And they had a great time at the egg hunt, and we put on 3 different hunts 3 different times. Hopefully they enjoyed 2 of those. But they also took time and went over to that booth. And like I said, it wasn't enough just that his daughter got to do it and got to color a little bit, is that he did it too. And to me, that I laugh with, like, that was my moment. That was the thing I cared about most, leaving. Don't get me wrong, if someone's watching this and thought, wait a second, there was thousands of kids. Yes, those were all fantastic. It was great they were there. But that moment, and when you're out there and you see that at Art Night, or you see Pacific View and you see that going on, it's like, that's the moment you got to, like, okay, that's cool. I'm involved in this. Like, you're making that happen. And please do. Arts program manager recruitment, I really don't have much that I can share. It's in a process still ongoing. I don't have an answer today, so you get that it's still going. Hopefully I'm coming back next time with, here's the person. Cultural Tourism Committee. And if we're going to talk about this, again, I'm not sure, it was earlier. I did want to share that the subcommittee that's working on cultural, historic loops, we're going to meet and then have a report out for the next Cultural Commission. So if that's one of your roles, please come and join us. But I do want to share that John Campbell, who's the calendar creator, he gave us some examples to look at, and I would share, for an opportunity to look at what's out there on loop trails. Dallas to Dallas was one of them. And these are nothing, we're not connected to him. He just was giving us examples. And then the Chuck Huckleberry Loop in Pima County. And they're not these all fantastic things. There are city-county efforts that are going on right now, and we want to be doing that. And that's our discussion is, what do we do? What is our cultural loop going to look like? Our example that we were working on in discussions with John was, okay, what's that look like if you're doing surf? If you're doing surf and skating, where does that loop? What does it connect? Where are the businesses? What are the parks? And how does that loop look like? And then what is the goal? Because that's something that as a subcommittee we really need to work on is, what's our purpose? What is this loop going to do? And then we'll do further loops after we get the first one. We'll start working on them. And who in the community is involved in that? Is that a chamber? What is the role of the city? And that's what we're doing in that subcommittee. Just wanted to keep you aware of that. And then that's it for me for today.
Fantastic. For the arts program manager recruitment, can you at least say that there have been a series of final interviews or anything like?
There's been a series of interviews.
Series of interviews. Thank you. Okay. All super cool. The item 10, there's no commission member initiated agenda item.
No.
I do just want to point out, thank you, Dave, for sending that template. We all received that. That is the template you use if you would like to put one and send to staff, and then it becomes part of the agenda. And number 11, future agenda items added by commission members, also none. This is something that if we wanted something added to an agenda, we could say it at a meeting, it gets a second, and then it can go on. But that's usually an ask of staff to make a report and present it to us if there's information that we need from staff in order to work on something. So it is a tool, a very useful tool. Use it judiciously because staff doesn't have has lots of free time otherwise.
I had a request. May I speak?
You can ask a clarifying question at this point in the meeting.
Yes, I had a question. I had a restaurant owner ask me about doing some kind of murals on the cement, the blockades that they have up on the highway on Historic 101, those cement blockades in front of the restaurants, about getting those painted with some kind of theme that goes with Encinitas. And I did not know what to do. I guess my question is, what do I do with that request?
Reach out to staff.
Yeah, that's good direction. You can point them to me, and I can either help them with an answer or point them to the correct person.
Okay, and number 12, commissioner reports.
I just want to put it on the public record that Jess Roberts' band Rips, I saw them between last meeting and this meeting, and they were awesome. So our staff rules. And Dave, do you have a band?
No, but I would go watch hers. That's one of my goals.
Well, I bet if you had a band, it would be cool too. Thank you.
All right, that is a good note to end on. We will adjourn this meeting at 7:14 at night. I think. I can never see the time.